column here, this is homes that didn't sell. This is days on the market. This is absorption rate, okay? And these are properties taken off the market. And I also have some macro and micro information. What percentage of realtors do you think have been trained to talk that way, basically?
Most.
Everybody. Everybody. Now, why do you think that is? Because they don't understand that in the information age, data and information have the lowest level, and knowledge and wisdom have the highest level. So the software companies have done your thinking for you. They've done your thinking for you. And they've prevented you from being a strategic thinker. Because if you're a strategic thinker, you ask yourself these questions. If you're going to be strategic about this. Number one, what percentage of realtors, when it comes to their own personal residence, do you think overprice their own home? 100%. What percentage of realtors have access to all the data? All of them. So if 100% of realtors overprice their own home, and 100% of realtors have access to all the data, what does that tell you about the value of the data? It's absolutely worthless. It's meaningless if it's not judiciously inserted. The next strategic question is this. What percentage of homeowners do you think have a price in mind before you arrive? All of them. Okay. So, but none of this was the calculus that basically had us evolve so we could evolve from going over price as if we're an appraiser to consultatively discussing and collaborating on pricing strategies. You never talk about price, it's a pricing strategies. If you want to deal with price, become an appraiser. If you want to be a marketing realtor, become a person who engages people on pricing strategies. So if somebody says, Allan, can we start with the price? I'm going to say, folks, we provide our clients, we at Real Living have made a science out of pricing properties, and we provide our clients with 3 distinct pricing strategies. Strategy number one, some of our clients want to price their property based on the data. Through a CMA, a market analysis, we can talk about that. And the reason they want to go on that method is because they think it might help the property better appraise out. They don't want to offend the pricing sensibilities of buyer agents. And they also may have already bought another home or whatever. So that's strategy number one. You got that? Great. Now, so far, I'm not showing any data. I'm not coming with my little folder with a spreadsheet, hiding behind it, looking as though I'm an advocate for the data, as opposed to representing them. Strategy number two, some of our clients, they select what we refer to as the less is more pricing strategy. Some of our clients will purposefully put their property on the market at a lower price than the data would support. Because they might be moving for lifestyle reasons versus economic reasons. They can't wait to get near the grandkids at the lake, okay, or in the city, or they're downsizing, or they're transferring. And so that's strategy number two. Some people, some may even think they'll create competition. You got that, folks? Okay, great. Pricing strategy 3 is that some of our clients, many of them, in fact, most of them, they want to put a little cushion over the data because they think that buyers are going to want to negotiate. So of these 3 pricing strategies, which one do you think is the most philosophically comfortable for the two of you? Now, do you think I'm showing more professionalism than just going through the spreadsheet that way? Mm-hmm. Do you?
Absolutely.
What percentage of, now let me ask you this, because what I'm doing is this, I'm tenderizing the home seller before I get to the data. Because what percentage of homeowners like the data? How many?
None.
None. Almost none like the data. So why, now if they don't like the data, and if you start with the data, what do you think that makes you?
Someone they don't like.
Someone they don't like. It makes you the bearer of bad news. And what's the expression that goes with the bearer of bad news? What do we do to the bearer of bad news? We shoot the messenger. Thank you. We shoot the messenger. The industry has been so non-strategic and so ridiculously tactical that we actually have realtors going to meet with homeowners, taking on a spreadsheet, well, this column's this column's that, and they wonder why people are traumatized. You've got to, now at the end of this, the homeowner may say, well, look at it. What strategy do you like to make? Well, Allan, how would I know? What's the data? That's the time you insert the data. You don't make 1 penny of a different recommendation, but it's a completely different approach because you're manifesting your consultative spirit of intent, you're collaborating with them, and you're giving them options, and the same thing that brain surgeons do. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you think that you might like to try what I just announced? May I see your hands? That's great. That'll make a big, not you, Dill, okay, you too proud to raise your hand here? Okay, next. Okay, now. But the point is this, okay, now, what if they say, can we begin with the marketing? Now, if I asked 100 realtors in a room, or 1,000 realtors in a room, or 10,000, explain to me how real estate marketing works, how many different explanations do you think I get? 10,000, 1,000, 100. Do you think there might be one better explanation than all of them put together? There is. And here's what it is. Let's begin with the marketing. Because you want to establish confidence and trust. Chad, Holly, speaking of, now let's talk about the marketing. Because of the internet, because of social media, all marketing comes down to 3 words. Now, can anyone tell me why it's automatically a benefit to say something's in 3? It's the power of 3s. It goes back to Norse mythology. Do you think it's, look at it, location what?
Location.
Location. Has that sustained? How many of you ever heard this one? I want to help you get the best price in the shortest period of time. Have you heard that one? There's nothing like the power of 3. So if you want to convince people, do you want people to think that you're an expert at real estate marketing? What percentage of your income is based on how you communicate? Then you have to communicate that you're an expert at real estate marketing. Because why would people just assume it? Because a lot of people don't give us that much credit. So how do you establish that you're an expert at real estate marketing? Here's how you do it. Because this is exactly how real estate marketing works. So it's not just something clever to say. Chad, Holly, real estate marketing comes down to 3 words. Range, reach, and influence. Range would be the internet. Reach is something called IDX. I'll go over with you. I'm so happy for you folks because 20 years ago, you'd actually be asking me back then about exposure. See, I was in the business 20 years ago. My clients just said, Allan, how are you going to expose the property? No one asks me that anymore because exposure is absolutely taken care of by range and reach. The internet's range, IDX is reach, which means that every single other real estate company here in Greater Vancouver is going to be trying to sell your home as well. That wasn't the case 20 years ago. So I mentioned range and reach, but now we've got to cover influence. See, our challenge isn't to get people to learn about your home. Our challenge is to influence them not only to buy, to pay the most amount of money for it. Am I making sense so far? Mm-hmm. Do you think the homeowner would find this interesting? Mm-hmm. Now, between us, if you have a town here and there's 4 homes between $400,000 and $500,000, even if one of them wasn't even on the internet, what percentage of buyers, agents would make sure that their buyer at least saw all 4? Just to cover themselves, right? So even if you didn't advertise a home, can a home benefit because of all the other homes being advertised? Mm-hmm. Yes. So we don't have to worry about range and reach. Our job, the reason we're compensated is because of influence, okay? So we don't have, our challenge isn't going to be to get people to see your property here overlooking the river or in this neighborhood. Our challenge is to get people to want to buy it and pay the most amount of money for it. Do you think they like hearing that so far? Now, so we've created a customized home marketing system to do that. The first step of the home marketing system is that I can't influence buyers and buyer agents, Chad and Holly, unless you first influence me. If you're not willing to influence me on why somebody should live here, I can't influence buyers and buyer agents. So are you willing to help me try to influence buyers and why they should live here? What percentage will say yes? 100%. So the first thing we have is we have the real living customized home seller insight. I'm going to give each of them a form. Can you take a few minutes and write down the 3 to 5 major reasons why you think somebody would want to buy this lifestyle? What percentage of homeowners you think will happily do this? Every one of them. What percentage of realtors do you think do this every time? Said they don't. Because coaches and trainers aren't in this business like this. They're in a different universe. Okay? This is how you involve people where they can't not escape you. Okay? Now, after I get the forms back, I do this every single time for 30 years. When I get the forms back, I then go like this. it's interesting, you didn't list the number of bedrooms and baths, but that doesn't surprise me, because that's not why people are gonna buy the lifestyle. See, we're a lifestyle marketing company. See, all of the real estate ads will list beds and baths, but that's not the differentiator. And you proved it. You listed that you're near the dog park. You listed that you can walk to Starbucks. You listed you're near the mall. You listed the neighbors. You listed the babysitters. You listed this, you listed that. That's what we're selling. And now what we have to make sure is that we get this information and we get it onto Keller Williams' site, Remax's site, Coldwell Banker's site, ERA site, Century 21 site, even Windermere. Okay, that was a little joke for you. Okay, now, even Compass, even though they're going in the wrong direction. Even Keller Williams, what's this, Scientology? Okay, anyway. Even Century 21, let's get your home sold in this century. Anyway, but always be respectful. Always be respectful. Anyway, the big Patty's not here. Okay, now, the next point is this, okay. The next point, okay, now after you get all the positive things, now I'm going to give you a PhD that I developed over 20 years. Folks, now that we've gone over all of the positive reasons why somebody should want your home, is there anything about your property that you think a buyer or a buyer agent might criticize to get the value down that we should strategize over? Do you like that idea? See, that's PhD stuff, okay? Now, the next point, we have to have a photo marketing strategy. Homeowners don't go to the internet just to find properties, they go to the internet to eliminate properties, okay? So let's come up with a photo marketing strategy. Now we can do it in one of two ways. We can arrange the photos the way we'd show the home, the natural sequence of showing the property, or we together tonight can pick the way we want the property to be seen virtually. Let's go over that. Which picture should be first? Now, this is simple, this isn't rocket science. But what percentage of realtors you think sequentially do this every time? 0, okay? And that's why they don't mesmerize homeowners. The next point here is this, internet marketing strategy. Remember when I talked about range, reach, and influence, folks? I want a full disclosure. Not only are we part of the largest real estate organization in the history of the world, but I know that means nothing to you unless we get you the best results, but we're also part of this syndication where all of these other companies will be involved. That's why it's so important how we arrange the text and the photos that no one knows the home like you, that we've got to make sure that all of these other sites have the property displayed if we're going to properly influence everybody. Because it doesn't matter to you which company brings the right buy, does it? And it doesn't matter to our marketing system. Well, gee, we were thinking of talking to Keller Williams. Well, Keller Williams is already part of our marketing system. We're thinking of talking to, well, Coldwell Banker is already part of our marketing system. See, if they like you, they'll stick with you. See, some people like you, they love to do business, but gee, she doesn't do that much business, so Coldwell Banker does more. You've got to eliminate that objection. You've got to have everybody that would like to list with you, now give them a plausible premise that they're not making a mistake. And go to town on that. And I'm sorry I'm not more excited about this. I've been feeling well lately, the jet lag. Now, the next point is this. Real estate community networking. The most underused word in real estate is networking. Talk about how you work with other people. The next thing is, I developed a program called Neighbors Know Best. We like to go to the neighbors and ask them how they like living in the neighborhood because that's the most trusted form of advertising. Cooperative showing suggestions, that was before that. How important do you think you're the homeowners now? Folks, how important do you think the way the property is going to be shown by buyer agents is? Oh, it's very important. See, unfortunately, agents in this marketplace have been trained to how to show homes in general, but there's never been anybody developing a training program for individuals.